It's not always the cheater's fault when they cheat. It's not always the cheat.
It's not always the cheater's fault when they cheat. I believe this is a complicated question. This is a yes and a no type of question because you can, if you do cheat, the only way it is not your fault is if, and this is very complicated, but if you are in a emotional or physical abusive relationship, you don't really have I don't really believe you have the right to do it, but you can cheat. And but I also believe if you're able to cheat, you should be able to get out of that relationship. But from what I've heard from folks, that's very hard for people to do, to get out of those type of relationships. So I guess in that instance, that's the only way you can cheat. But other than that, in functioning, healthy relationships, I believe it's always the cheater's fault. Uh, sometimes, sometimes, like even in this episode, if you don't listen to your partner and it happens, or if the partner is constantly telling you stuff that they need, that they want out of the relationship or out of you, and you just don't listen to them and they cheat on you, I'm not going to exactly say that that's acceptable, but that's a gray area to where that's a gray area because I believe you have a right to leave the relationship. You have a right to leave the relationship, not exactly to cheat. Um, because I believe if you've cheated, you you most likely didn't make efforts. And maybe you did, but you chose to build a relationship, a connection with someone else. You chose to cheat on someone. You chose to have that one night stand. It's almost the same thing as when people say they got drunk and they had sex. It's like if you blacked out, maybe. Be- but if you didn't black out, because I've been drunk before and I remember everything. So I being in that headspace of a person who's drunk, you might be more susceptible to things, but it doesn't mean that what you have done is right. You know what you did. You cheated. You made that conscious effort to do that. You made a conscious effort to do that. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
I
Yeah,
can
of
think
course.
of
Yeah,
one
they laughing. They
instance
know.
where I would say it's not the cheater's fault.
Bro, they know. They know. Look. They know. Look,
I can think of
they know.
one
Of course
instance where I would
Of
say
course
it's
she's
not
there.
the cheater's fault. If someone is in an abusive situation and
That's
maybe
different.
they don't feel safe to leave the relationship, I could understand why, and maybe even like they've fallen for someone else, they use that as an excuse to get out of the relationship. I would still say it stems from within, for sure, but that would be the one instance in which I would say I could totally understand like where the cheating came from, that you're not safe. I think
So she only agrees with one part, and that was the one thing that I was thinking of, and that was that if it's just so bad, like it really, you should just get out of the relationship. But in that instance, yes, but that's not every relationship. People don't just cheat because you're being beat. I mean, if you're being beat and that's the only way you can get out of it, okay, okay. You put somebody else in danger too. But okay, I get it. But her reason, she's about to have this Chelsea woman, she's about to have a very dumb reason well, she already said that she doesn't think it's the cheaters, that she thinks, man, I just don't like her, man. I don't like her.
I think that I have read too many accounts of women and men being taken advantage of and being put into a situation where there really is no choice. So a lot of the women that I counsel are in domestic violence households, and a lot of them have been threatened with murder if they chose to leave the relationship. And so what ends up happening is all of a sudden you're at work and you are having a conversation with a male colleague who exhibits genuine care for you and your situation. It's almost impossible to stop the inertia of love from being able to take that person out of the situation.
If I had to play devil's advocate, do you think replacing something that can be considered negative with another negative makes it right?
It's difficult to compare like one sin to another, but I think that at the end of the day, if somebody is harming you, whether it's emotionally or physically, and they're making that choice, that's always going to be worse to me.
I also think that truth and reality really don't give a about right or wrong. So it's kind of like, why would I be so obsessed with labeling somebody else's decision that ultimately resulted in their safety?
Yeah, might make them safer.
She's narcissistic. There you go. She's narcissistic.
Okay, I believe wrong is wrong. I do. I believe that two wrongs don't make right. There's no way, like, that's just my personal belief. I don't think that,
But what if that person is not safe to leave?
but they're okay to cheat.
Wait,
Yeah,
it's
it doesn't
not a
make
question
any
of okay.
I think that it's without partiality. Like, I can't sit here and say that somebody is right for cheating based
We didn't
off
say
of,
right. We just said
or they're
Let her finish.
okay to be able to cheat based off of the fact that they're in an abusive relationship. If you are in an abusive relationship, get the heck out.
But what if you can't? It's not always that
Then
simple.
how is it that no one is able to tell
Bro,
me?
you gotta talk to some girls.
Yeah,
You gotta
okay,
talk to
no.
some
My
girls.
question would be,
Calm down.
so
I
if
just want to
we're-
know. I'm asking the question because you're saying that someone can sit there and cheat on someone based off of the fact that they're in an abusive relationship. Where does that come? Like, how does that make that okay or make it right?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. How? It's like, I agree with the premise. If that happens, like, if that's your only way to get out, okay, whatever. But make it make sense. Make it make sense. You get emotionally or physically you're getting physically or emotionally abused. But instead of getting out, you decide to cheat on the person who's physically or emotionally abusing you. Make it make sense. And especially if they find out that you're doing that, it's going to be 10 times worse. So make it make sense. Why would you cheat instead of getting out? If you have the ability to cheat on that person, why don't you have the ability to leave that person? It doesn't make sense. I know psychologically you're kind of effed up because they make it to where, from what I've seen, is they make it to where that person is dependent on the abuser, makes it that the abusee is dependent on them. So it's difficult for the abusee just to leave. But if the abusee has the ability to cheat on the abuser and just not care about the repercussions that might happen to you, then that means theoretically you should be able to leave. But apparently they don't. I don't get it.
Right, where does that come
It's
from?
not a black and white thing, and I think we keep coming to that. I don't think anybody is saying like it's okay. I think we're just saying it's not okay, and it's it's in the middle.
But I believe in yes or no and okay or not
Right,
okay,
and
right or wrong.
I think some of us are thinking black and white, and some of us just aren't those kinds of people, and I think that's okay.
Yeah, I'm not open about that.
But I'm not saying that being unsafe in an abusive relationship makes it okay to cheat. What I'm saying is that someone might use forming a relationship with another person as a safety net, because now you have somebody else to go to. Because I think a lot of people don't realize, but the abuse actually kicks up after you leave the relationship. It gets worse because the person who's abusing you will stalk you, will chase you, will blow up your phone, will show up at your house. It is very dangerous for people, I'm not gonna gender it, for people who are leaving abusive situations. It gets more dangerous.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
cheating, forming another relationship with somebody, may actually help that person find safety.
My question would be like, how would it help them find safety if the relationship is already abusive? I would think that would anger the person.
To make
more
it
than
worse.
where-
It doesn't matter though. That's what I'm saying.
It's the disclosing
something
of
to
the
say.
internal reality.
We are all humans in our bodies, and you have a right to feel comfortable in your body and to feel safe. And whether or not you have to make a decision that makes you immoral or whatever in order to protect your safety, that is okay in my eyes. I don't think about right and wrong. I was raised in the church, so I was drilled a lot about black and white and right and wrong. I just can't. And my dad was a pastor. Crazy.
I know we brought up specifics and everything, but I think if we're just looking at the specific prompt in itself, I think that there's always a choice. There's always a choice. I understand, maybe if someone's under the influence and, I can see how that could be literally blurred. But I think in general, if someone's
Yes,
sober,
cheating is a choice.
cheating is a choice.
No, I agree.
And
And I
sometimes
think
it's life or
that's
death.
where, and I think that's where we can put the fault on that person because they made that conscious decision.
But what is
And-
the purpose of assigning fault?
Well, I mean, I'm not saying there's any purpose. That wasn't the prompt.
Yeah.
Like the prompt was like that the person is at fault.
Boil it down.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
so-
get
But my
deeper.
point,
I'm
but
trying
No,
to get
I
deeper.
understand. I love that.
Yeah, 'cause it's still that choice to where you have to have the accountability held for you. I think that's where it's important to have the right or wrong,
Yes.
regardless of whether we think it's black or white. Yes, I feel like if we do not have an objective choice of what is right, what is wrong, then we should just be in a world that's a free-for-all and jails emptied out. No judicial system. The thought process in my mind, I know it was brought up that, okay, that may be their only way out of the relationship. But then it was later brought up that sometimes getting out of the relationship is the worsening part. So if you're leaning towards getting out the relationship anyway, are you going to
No,
create
what I
more
meant
havoc?
is that you have a safe haven now that somebody, which is also might lead to more toxic situations, but I just mean if you are so desperate to get out of a relationship and you know that abuse is gonna crank up as soon as you leave, now I have somebody else to protect me. That's what I was thinking. And I do think that, again, like blame, fault, I prefer accountability. I think that's the thing. Is something can be right, something can be wrong, something can be in the middle.
And right and wrong is very subjective. Like it's
Exactly.
very different for
But
everyone. And
Last thoughts. Last thoughts.
Right. At the end of the day, whatever my reason or excuse or whatever you want to call it, it was a choice that I made, and I cannot put that on the other person.
Okay,
We have to move on. Any last
I want to
concluding
say
words
one
for
thing.
each
I want to
person?
say one
Oh.
thing.
No, we got to move on
Final
to the last
thoughts.
concluding
Yep.
words.
Once a cheater, always a cheater isn't a thing. I believe that there is forgiveness. I believe that you should forgive yourself. I believe in confessing to your partner. I believe that they
Yo, they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. They zoomed in on her. That's crazy.
I believe that there is forgiveness. I believe that you should forgive yourself. I believe.
All right, I guess that's gonna be it for today. This is gonna be a long video that's gonna be on YouTube, but I'm also going to break this up in multiple parts so people don't have to watch the entire thing, or if they want to watch certain parts, they can watch certain parts. I'm also gonna take out a lot, probably have one video that just of me just reacting to it, period, and probably just have a part here and there. I'm gonna try to make that at least maybe 20 minutes, probably shorter, or make it like 2 minutes of me my reactions with the video. But other than that, and I'm probably gonna do one video, maybe one or two 1 minute videos of the white woman of Chelsea.